So, welcoming Jen to the podcast today,
Hey.
and welcome to my home.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so nice to have you. I'm just realizing I'm going to pop the microphone. This is much better. See, now we're like right in the center. Fantastic.
There we go.
Wonderful. Okay, so Jen, first things first, we met only really in the summer.
Yeah,
right?
I was trying to think that. I think it was just over the summer when you moved in.
That's it, because obviously I now feel like I've known you my whole life, and then I was like, hang on a second.
I thought it was last year, and I was like, no, it wasn't. It was this year.
100%. And I remember we moved in, and I was just so thrilled because, you know, this is London, and so often not everyone loves to have a chat with their neighbor, right? And I'm such a community person, so I was like, please be nice. And I remember coming into Carl, my partner, and being like, we've got the most amazing neighbors. We are winning in life. We didn't just catch an amazing apartment, we have amazing neighbors. And then there was that time where we just kind of kept bumping into each other.
Yeah, so we were seeing each other in the street randomly and like...
And somehow I just decided to give you my life story on the street. And I was like...
Yes, no, that I remember actually.
And you were such an angel, because long story short, as you may recall, I was studying for my exam, my theory exam for a car and a motorcycle, and I was highly stressed out about it. And you were just so great. I remember you were like, yeah, you'll study really hard now, and then the minute you pass, we forget everything like the rest of us. So don't worry, you'll be fine. And then we finally was like, maybe the universe is trying to tell us something, because we keep bumping into each other. And then I think, did I invite you over, or I came to yours or something? But
yeah, so we did that very sort of grown-up thing where we came round to each other's houses and had tea.
Oh my god, that's so true. Well, it's not sitting here with tea.
Should we have a day now?
No, that's so true. That's so true. And I just remember, like, every single time I've seen you, like, it always feels... sounds hilarious because we live next to each other as well, but it feels like coming home. Like, I feel so at ease with you, and
Same.
I always feel like we have so many things in common, and we're still kind of discovering all of them, right? But anyway, thank you for joining the podcast today. Jen, can you share with us a little bit about where you're from?
Where I'm from?
I know.
Oh, interesting question. Well, very originally I'm from Manchester, in the north of England, but I lived down south from like the age of 10. I grew up in Milton Keynes, which is a joyful town about 40 miles north of London.
Up there, yeah.
And yeah, so then I left Milton Keynes, I went to York for university and thought I'm never going back to Milton Keynes again. But then I didn't have any money, so I went back to live with my parents.
You're like, hey, guess what? I'm back.
Hi. And then ended up there. And then I always wanted to come to London for work. My dad used to work in London. It was just this ambition. And then I went to Milton Keynes for a bit, and then I got a job in London. I commuted for many years. I don't know how I did that. I was only in my 20s. My husband at the time then got a job in London. We commuted together for like a month, and then he was like, this is awful. I was like, it is, let's move to London.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and we talk about the wonderful place that we live. I remember just wandering around near where I worked in London thinking, where can I live? And then I saw this beautiful cobbled street and I was like, I want to live here. And I thought I'll move there for a year and see how it goes, and that was 15 years ago.
Oh my god, so I'm literally like, so I'm sitting here on this side going, I had no idea you've lived here in the wonderful area of Tower Bridge.
Yeah.
For 15
years.
Oh my god, I loved it. So, you know, I was in Belsize Park, like up in North London before coming down this side.
Yeah.
I ended up being there for 14 years. So like such a similar vibe.
Yeah.
But now I feel the same. Like I've been in this area for maybe 7 years now.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to leave. Like
I know.
It's just so wonderful.
I think for me, I got here and I was like, oh, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. And I think it's a very lifestyle thing. Like everything's on your doorstep, you know, coffee, wine, going for dinner, going to the gym. And it just felt quite different for me and felt the way I wanted to live. Maybe sometimes with a bit more sunshine, but hey.
Right, no, I completely get that. So you've always had, since you were a child, and maybe due to your dad working in London, but you always had this idea that like, London is the place.
Yes.
Wow.
And to give you a brilliant manifesting example that I didn't know was manifesting,
Mm-hmm.
I met my ex-husband at university, And I can't remember why, but I'd written him a postcard, which I found like years later. And it basically said, you know, looking forward to one day when we live in our warehouse apartment in Canary Wharf, which is just down the river from us.
Oh my God.
And when I found it, I was working in Canary Wharf and living
Oh my God.
I must have written it like 10 years earlier.
Oh my God, I love that so much. But you see, oh my God, thank you so much for sharing that with us, because I think, you know, this is also why I invited you here today, because this is what we talk about all the time, you and I, this whole thing of like manifestation. It means to make clear that which is in your heart. So first step one is, what is in your heart? Well, for you it was London, right? And the warehouse. But then step two, yes, you know, we make an action plan, but then step three, and this is the crazy important one that we always as human beings tend to get caught up in, is we have to let go of the how and the when, right?
So hard.
So the thing is, you brought that, and I can just see you like, you know, gorgeous. I mean, you're still gorgeous, but you know, gorgeous Jen sitting there like, oh, you know, London, you know, Canary Wharf, warehouse, and then totally forgetting everything about it, right? Yeah. And then even kind of forgetting that you even wrote the postcard, and then years later, fast forwarding, you know, a few years, you're then living that life.
Yeah.
And you'd even forgotten that you wrote that down. And I think that's the thing, right? You know, like we have a desire, but can we, with complete childlike wonder, and this is a weird word, glee, childlike wonder and glee, can we just fully commit to that dream and be so in love with the dream, and just for now, like, let that be enough.
Yeah.
Just complete certainty, not even certainty that it will happen, but just can we be grateful for even having the ability to dream. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a really tricky thing for me, because, you know, we talk about me innocently writing that postcard. I don't remember writing it, right? So, but I know a lot of my life has been about driving and about achieving and about doing and all of that. So I find surrender so difficult, and I'm working on it so much at the moment, which is why I really enjoy our conversations, because but just being in the moment, because I keep coming back to, like, this is all we have, like, this moment is life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is what life is made from, right? You know, it's not just, oh, I then achieved the dream. It's the everyday moments. You're so right. We're sitting in my kitchen. There's a nice tea that we both love from Fortnum and Mason. It's another thing we have in common, right? No, I'm so with you. And how can we? Because this thing about, again, you mentioned the word surrender. I think there's a huge difference between, imagine you're standing at a well, like a magical well, right? And you make a wish, and you kind of just like, you make a wish, and you put the wish, you know, mentally into a coin, and then you drop the coin into the well. Yeah. So you completely surrender the wish into the well. Now here's the deal. You're surrendering the wish into the well, right? Now, until and if and when that wish comes true, you don't just sit by the well, right? Or even worse, jump off it down into the well.
Just to check on how the wish is doing.
Just to check on how the wish is doing, right?
Yeah.
So in order to surrender that wish, I think it's really important that we still leave the well. Yeah. Leave the well. Don't sit by the well. So, you know, let's not confuse the word surrender with I'm sitting by the well doing nothing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And also not you know, also not jumping into the well, trying to run after my wish. Right. You know, like you know, like you said, let's jump into the well and see how it's doing. But we still need momentum. Not necessarily on the wish itself, but momentum. There has to be movement in life. So we leave the well, and then we get busy doing other things. Yeah,
and going after things that, I always try and go after things that feel joyful, and like I have a lot of energy, and I can tell when my energy is low. So kind of like that. How I sort of create that day to day is really important.
Right, exactly. So then the everyday energy, the everyday momentum, you know, is unique to every single human being. But the fact that you have that self-awareness, you know, that's obviously also why we're drawn to each other. Like, oh yes, another fellow energy worker. I see you over there with your sparkling, gorgeous necklace on. So it's that thing. So like, I know you like to go to the gym, and I know you like to go for walks, and you like to, you know, make sure you have experiences. You create experiences for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you create experiences where you're like, well, I know, you know, I can go and meet up with that friend or with that, you know, a colleague or whatever it is, but someone that you know is going to boost your energy.
Yeah.
So again, we don't just sit by the well. We get busy doing other things, right? Maybe going to other wells. Yeah, no, I love that. Because I think that, you know, I know that, have you read the book Surrender?
I haven't actually.
Or the Surrender Experiment?
No, I don't think so.
So I heard about it actually in the summer. It's a big summer for me. I heard about it this summer, and I haven't read it, but essentially it's this wonderful human being that had always been extremely action orientated his entire life. And again, just for listeners out there, just bear in mind that we're all different and our default setting will be different. So we might have people that are, maybe you're a Pisces, maybe you're a big dreamer, maybe you're a Cancer, you have lots of emotions, and you kind of live very much in the world of your emotions and you know, the subconscious and the imaginative and the creative, and these are amazing qualities, but perhaps you find it difficult to actually take action, considered conscious action. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, you want to build you know, you dream of this amazing house, but you don't even talk to an estate agent. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we have the other people that are extremely action-orientated, extremely goal-orientated. They sit down, they make the action plan, they execute the action plan. But then, if that house hasn't immediately manifested, then they kind of like have a feeling that somehow it's their fault, and you know, it can be quite a difficult thing. And you know, not to say that it's only difficult for people that are really action orientated. If something works out, or you know, in a different way, or later on, or whatever, and if the outcome is different to one might expect it. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we all have a different default setting. So for the really action orientated people, like this author was of the book, The Surrender Experiment, what he did, so like he was like, you know, I want to share an amazing message with everyone all around the world, and he wanted to be on TV shows, and he wanted all this stuff. Which of course that was his dream, all good. But what he had never ever created space for was for something else to come in, right? And so for him, when he changed his approach and allowed certain aspects of surrender in, and I think actually his whole book is like complete surrender. So it's literally like, you know, someone calls you and they go, hey, you want to go to this thing? And you go, yes, I do, you know, and you go to that thing, and then, you know, all of a sudden that thing doesn't happen, but something else happens, and you just kind of go along with that, right? So he was really trying to fully just go with the flow,
Go with the flow, almost saying yes to everything and just seeing what happens.
Right, but also feeling into his body, and if it was a no, then saying that it was a no, but really sort of mentally trying to step out of the way for how something should happen, and really just allow oneself to notice, well, what opportunities are here for me? So right, you know, like a job opens up, you know, but actually instead of sitting here going, oh, but this is so sad, it didn't open up, what did I do wrong? But actually go, but well, what is opening up? You know, what am I drawn to? Is there another job opportunity, or is there another friend I can go and see, or even if we found ourselves in a bit of a dark spot, is there just anything that makes us feel a little bit more joyful? Is it that, you know, I go down and buy myself some flowers, right? You know, so his book was all about, let me try, instead of trying to control outcomes to the very minute detail, can I surrender some of that control? Doesn't mean I don't take action or I don't say no ever. But can I soften a little bit more and actually just get excited about what is showing up in my life? So for the dreamers out there, this is probably not for you. It's good for you to get a little fire and a little action and a little, you know what, let's actually just try stuff, right? But for a lot of people, like that whole thing of surrender, it's just because you mention it, you're like, I find it hard to really surrender, right? Anyway, I want to hear your thoughts on that. So what are some of the things that you are currently doing or have been doing or want to try doing when it comes to the practice of, you know, leaving that wish that you released into the wishing well?
Yeah, no, it's good. I love that analogy actually. Someone told me one about, like, if you ordered dinner in a restaurant, you wouldn't go and then check up on the chef, like making your meal. You'd go back and like have fun with your friends.
I love that.
We were talking about the world, I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, that's exactly it. It's exactly it. Yeah, because I think I am quite an action taker. I've always been very driven, so it's really, and I struggle with the juxtaposition between taking inspired action versus I'm not controlling the outcome. So I've been doing a lot. I do a lot of journaling. That helps me get out of my head and sort of really reflect on where I am. I have been working on sort of putting my dreams out there and writing them in my notebook and then stepping away and doing it. And I've also been looking at sort of, okay, my big goals are here. What maybe can I do this month towards them? But actually not being too sort of, so just taking one tiny step instead of thinking, well, where's the outcome? Where's it gone? So
I love that.
Yeah, but I would say I'm definitely a work in progress. Yeah, what else should I try?
What else did you try? Okay, so I think actually that piece of the puzzle, which is we have that inspired idea, right? Something makes us dream, whatever it is. You know, someone leaves us, then all of a sudden we might have a desire to actually find and attract a partner that feels even more aligned with us, or maybe we just want to take time out for ourselves. My point is, something in life happens, and from that you will feel a certain emotion that will be the driving force of your what wish you're putting into that wishing well, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is what's a nice thing. Like, you know, first of all, life is always happening. So at no point will you ever feel like alone or lost in life, because life is actually always telling you something.
Yeah.
So first of all, you know, start to notice your surroundings and go, okay, well, what just happened here? And then what is this propelling within me? So we're at the wishing well now, and we're like, well, actually, you know what? At this moment in time, I would rather like a lot of money, for instance, right? Or I would love to really love myself.
Yeah.
Or maybe I want a baby. These are big things. It could also just be, I just really want to attract a really amazing, well-aligned job opportunity, or whatever it is, right? Or, I would like to buy some red curtains for some reason. And so anyway, something happens in life, and from that experience, we get clearer about what we truly want at this moment in time. So we're now standing at the wishing well, we're like, this is time to make the wish, right? Because I now know what I wish for. Without the contrasting experiences, we might not be so clear about what we actually want.
Yeah, no, that's really good, actually.
Because most of our life, we've been told by life itself what we want and what we don't want, and what we definitely shouldn't want. There's a nice quote by Carl Jung, and he goes, the world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you.
Oh, that's so true.
Oh, isn't it so true?
That one, but that's so true. Yeah, and it's I can really identify with that, actually. I think I spent a lot of my life, like my sort of early 20s and my 20s and my early 30s, like building this life that I thought that I really wanted. And I ended up sort of stepping out of my corporate career and starting my own business, because I was like, I so wanted freedom from this career. And I've been on this really sort of squiggly career journey for like the last 4 or 5 years. I don't even know now. And actually part of what I do want now is to go back into a corporate role, but in a different way, because everything I've learned about myself and starting my own business and coaching, all of that, I'm like, I am so much more clearer on who I am now and what I bring to the table. Whereas in the past it was, you must go to university and get a good job and get married and have a house and car, all of those things that I never really stopped to go, well, is this what I want? And is this who I am? So yeah, it's a practice.
No, it absolutely is, but I just think it's such a nice way of looking at life. So whatever is happening, the contrast is the treasure. The contrasting experience is the treasure, because it teaches you about you.
Yeah.
It doesn't teach you in a way of like, like sometimes it can feel like a door slams in your face, and that can feel really hurtful.
Yeah.
But through that experience, you'll probably get a lot clearer about whether or not you even wanted to enter into that door in the first place, like enter into that space in the first place. And maybe you really do.
Yeah.
Maybe that big slap in the face makes you go, oh my God, I really want this. Yeah. Or maybe it goes, oh my God, that is so not for me. But we have to experience, right? We can't just finger our way to it. So first of all, life is always happening for you, even when the going gets tough, even when it feels really uncomfortable. Yeah. But, through those contrasting experiences, we get clearer about who we truly are.
Yeah.
And that's just for who we are in that moment, because then we change again.
Yeah,
right?
I
know, we are ever-changing beings in an ever-changing world.
I love that though. Like I feel really curious about life, and to the point of doors slamming in your face and things. The bit that I'm sort of cultivating is that being open and curious to opportunities, and having sort of an idea of what I'd like. But actually being going with, oh, what do I feel like doing today, and what does that lead me to? And I messaged someone the other day on LinkedIn about something, and I'm talking to them next week, and I'm like, oh, and they didn't reply for like 2 weeks.
Right.
So I could have gone, oh my goodness, I emailed them and they never replied and I never heard from them, but I just messaged and then moved on. I left it in the well.
Right,
and
this is a perfect example.
Completely forgot about it.
Isn't this the best example?
Yeah.
Because then you left it in the well and you
forgot about it, moved on, and then suddenly it came through and I was like, oh, amazing. I'm really happy. Versus, why haven't they messaged me back? Why haven't they replied to me?
I love that so much. And also, because that's the surrender part. The surrender part is, you had a wish. Hey, this sounds like a nice idea. You left it in the well, and then you left and you literally got on with life, right?
Yeah.
Zero attachment. So it's zero attachment to the outcome, zero attachment to the how, and even the if and the when, zero attachment. And then also, like, zero story about them replying or not replying to you, how that would make you feel about you.
Yeah, 100%.
Zero story. Who cares?
You could spin a whole story about that, around why they haven't replied to you and all of that. Reality, they're busy, or I don't know, maybe they're not interested in replying, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything about me. And it's powerful, those moments when those things happen. And even now, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a great chat with this person next week. I have no story about what that conversation looks like, apart from it will be great to catch up with them. So something may come out of it, something may not come out of it. I'm okay with that. And that's a really nice place to be.
Right. And that's also, so through the last many months, and I mean obviously your entire life, you have gained more and more clarity about who you are.
Yeah.
And who you like to be and who you want to be going forward. And that, not only does that then mean that you can create a life that is actually really in alignment with the person you are now, it also makes you so much more attractive to the world.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't noticed, in the world, we like someone who knows who they are.
So true.
It makes us feel so safe. We're like, oh my God, there she is. It's like, you just want to hang out. Like people that are really self-assured. I mean, not arrogant, but that are just
comfortable with who they are.
Comfortable with who they are. Because the thing is, if you're comfortable with who you are, you don't need me to be, kind of. Does that make sense? That means I'm not on edge. I'm not here going, oh my God, is Jen going to be okay if I say this? Oh my God, is she okay if I,
Yeah.
If I'm not, it actually, Jen thinks she's, Jen is always looking out for Jen. She's looking after her own happiness, after her own wellness, after her own situation. Then it's just joyful to see you. And it doesn't matter whether the stories that we share are sometimes sad, or they can things were unfair, like we have good emotions like all human beings, but it means that there's a sense of ease to our interaction.
That
makes
a lot of sense, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's a similar thing, like you're going into, because I know at the moment, obviously I know you personally, so I know that you are on the lookout for what next steps in your life you want to take, right? But whatever next steps you want to take and however that's going to look, you're only so much more attractive than you ever were.
Yeah.
Because you really have grown into who you came here to be.
Yeah.
And I think this is such an important knowledge, and I like to think of it even in terms of so you're asking me, surrender and like practical tips, Josie. First of all, again, life is always happening for you, right? It will always propel you to feel a certain way about yourself. And then you can ask yourself, because everything in life, everything is a thought, and a thought can be changed. So you can go, do I agree with this thought? Or actually, did that thought just belong to my parents?
Yeah.
Right? And then secondly, start to decide what you like. Investigate who you are. Even super simple stuff like, if you always eat bananas, ask yourself, is it time for a raspberry?
Yeah.
Like something
do I like bananas, or do I just always eat them?
But you see what I'm saying? Like something as
100%.
simple as that.
Yeah.
And like just decide, like, I'm just gonna try a lot of apples. Or actually, you know what? I've never liked raisins. I just didn't even realize it because my mom always fed me raisins as a child and I didn't even question it, you know?
Yes. I've done this with coffee recently, right? So I love coffee, I know you know. But I always had big Americanos because I remember when I used to work in an office, I would have one on the way in and then I would go sit at my desk, do some work. About 10 a.m. I'll go and get another big Americano. And I've always just drank big Americanos.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, oh, but do I want all that coffee? But I like coffee, right?
Yeah.
I love coffee. So now I've been trying flat whites and cortados, like little tiny ones. This sounds so boring. But now I'm like, Dan and I went for coffee this morning. I had 2 tiny cortados instead of 2 giant Americanos. And I'm like, why did I drink all that volume of coffee for so long? Like, just versus, this is what I enjoy.
Right. But how beautiful.
Yeah.
But and this is not a boring example at all. This is like such a potent example because success is in the detail.
Yeah.
It is not, what happens to you as a reflection of what you're feeling is how you feel about yourself. And so if we want a different experience, if we want other things to happen to us, other opportunities to enter our life, we have to do something different within ourselves. So something can seem really basic, like, well, how is Jen choosing a different coffee gonna change the opportunities coming her way? Well, I would like to say the difference, it's gonna change everything.
Yeah.
Because what you decided to do was you decided to question your sense of identity, who gave you that identity, and if you are in harmony with that identity, or maybe it's time for a change.
Yeah.
And the change is just the trying out, right? I'm sitting here in my hoodie. Normally I wouldn't say I'm Mrs. What is it called, like luxury loungewear woman, right? But today I am, right? After visiting Lululemon, highlighting, advertising Lululemon, I am now the golden zip hoodie. Thank you, I love it. But honestly, like, it was so funny. I was in that shop yesterday and I fell in love, and then my brain was like, it is the most expensive hoodie I have ever, like, can I, and then I was like, but some part of me can. So even something as simple as deciding, I want to be that woman who wears that. How's that gonna feel? It's gonna feel different. I grew a little taller. It's just, can we be playful with our sense of identity?
Yeah.
So, and I'm the same. I used to always drink the same tea. Earl Grey tea with soya milk, to the point where all of the coffee shops are like, Earl Grey tea, soya milk, right? And I came in today, I was like, skinny latte, right? And the guy nearly fell off his chair, right? The barista was like, no, it has happened, right? But it's like, if you can be playful with what you drink and what you eat, and through that, just, like, try new things, and the same thing with your clothes, and the same thing maybe with the words that you use, like with the music that you listen to, and remember, like, in life, I don't believe there's anything that's right or wrong. There's just new opportunity for our soul to evolve, and our soul is a sense of identity, right?
Yeah.
So again, maybe something else you can do is, like, ask yourself, what kind of woman do I want to be? And this is where a vision board, or even just like checking out, what women do you feel inspired by? Or if you're a man, obviously, what men do you feel inspired by, right? Like, whatever is your gist. But, like, and get conscious about it. So, for instance, I have an author that I absolutely love, and she's also an intuitive healer, so similar to myself. And I listen to her a lot, and I went to her retreat this summer, and when I was teaching yoga last night, I sang her song, and then everyone was like, oh my God, we thought it was you singing. I'm like, we just have a really similar voice. But, but the thing is, like, but knowing that she's such an inspiration for me, like, no, I don't want to be her, but by me finding an idol that I can relate to, it gives me permission, because like, my brain goes, well, I can see it can be done because she did it, and that's amazing. Like, it's so important that we consciously choose who inspires us.
Yeah. What you consume and all of that.
That's exactly it, all of that, right? So like, and that doesn't mean that everything must be inspirational, right? Because, we also want to, but in general, like, if the people you surround yourself with are, and for no one's fault, but you are interpreting hanging out with them as this doesn't make me feel good about me. Well, there's something in there, right? And it's not like, oh, you should just change your mind. Maybe it's just time to change the friends. Like, work-related situations, even like how you live your home. So, like, I'm so into feng shui. So I'm like, as in terms of my home is the center of my soul, so I come here to recharge. And so there is not a single thing in our house that I don't love or that is necessary to be here.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that means subconsciously I'm constantly receiving a message that goes, I choose you.
Yeah.
Because I chose with love and care every single thing that is here. So anyway, I could talk about this for hours. But back to you, Jen, back to you. I am so happy to have you here. I want to ask you, what did you study?
What did I study?
Yeah.
Psychology.
Oh, yay! How wonderful, of course.
Yeah.
And as a Saggy, because you're Sagittarius like me.
Capricorn.
Oh my God.
Just
on the cusp.
in the middle, yeah.
In the middle. Well, okay. Well, there's lots of Saggy energy. I'm getting a lot of fiery energy.
I just decide which one I feel I am aligned to more at the time.
See, yeah, exactly. Playful with your identity, even your star sign.
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes I'm 39, sometimes I'm 25, right? So I love that. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so you studied psychology.
Yes.
Amazing. And then the first thing that popped into my head was like, what did you do with that? Obviously, you did everything with that because the study of psychology is also who you are and so much self-study. So very appropriate with the Carl Jung.
Yeah.
Quote there.
No, exactly. And I did an undergrad in psychology many moons ago, and then I did my master's in positive psychology and coaching psychology, which was really cool. And that was a total. I didn't plan to do that. It's when I was working for myself and I was in the first year of my business and I saw this degree advertised and I was like, oh my goodness, that sounds amazing. And I was very. I didn't want to just rush into it because I can sometimes get really excited about things. I'm like, oh, a master's is quite a commitment.
Yeah.
So I was so proud of myself. I did it at a university here in London and I wanted to do it face to face because it was just after COVID. So I went to the open evening and everything just to be like, I'm considering whether I do this or not. So I did that and I did a year full time, which was amazing because I would never have pictured, like if I'd still been in my corporate career, I wouldn't have had time to do it, I don't think. I learnt loads and the positive psychology is perfect because it is all about gratitude and strengths and how do you kind of elevate rather than like get people who are not feeling brilliant and bring them back up to zero, which is traditional psychology, but actually how do you help people stay really well and really energized? So
100%. Oh my God, I love that so much. And so you coaching?
Yes.
I remember you mentioned a few casualties ago that you and that's actually teas and casual, not casualties. I noticed. Jen was like, Josie is a nice person. She's from Denmark. She just messed up a word there. It actually was like a tea. And it's like we got very casual
teas
and conversations together. I remember you did actually go ahead and set up your own company, right?
Yes.
And you were working for yourself.
Yeah.
And then through that experience, you decided actually it was time for you, or perhaps might be time for you to go back into the corporate world again. Is that where you got to?
Yeah, definitely. And it was really interesting because I spent about 5 years when I was still in corporate thinking, I want to do something different. I've worked really hard with it, a bit to the point earlier. That was my goal, and I didn't know if that's what I really wanted. Yeah. And I thought, well, I've worked really hard to get to this really senior role. Is this it? Is this what I then do for the next 20 years? And I was like, oh no!
You get me out of here! I'm a celebrity!
So I'd worked with coaches, so I did a sort of coaching training when I was still working, and I was like, I'm going to leave my corporate career and I'm going to start my own business, and I couldn't. I was too scared. I was too scared of leaving what I really felt was my identity. I was this,
And the two Americanos.
Yeah. 100%. Really nice shoes to get the, all of those things. I was just like, it was such a big scary thing. And then just after COVID, I had the opportunity to take redundancy. They were putting my team with another team, and I was like, this is the universe saying, hey, if you don't do this now. So I remember leaving and thinking, right, I'm not going to look for a job. I'm going to set up my own business. So I did that, and I did really enjoy it. You've worked for yourself for a lot longer than I ever did, but starting from scratch and figuring things out. Like I set up email newsletters and using social media to, all of those things, and finding clients. It's really hard. So I was a bit naive, I think, going into it. I created a lot of freedom, and my original dream was I want to work from anywhere in the world with my pink MacBook.
Oh my God,
and I actually achieved that. And it was so good, and Dan bless him bought me a pink MacBook, and I did. I worked from all over the world, and I did enjoy it, but it didn't feel quite right. And I never really got into the zone with it. And I remember thinking, well, you're out of your comfort zone, so just keep going, because it will feel better soon.
All of a sudden, the pink MacBook in a new place will feel like home. It'll feel like the two Americanos. Yeah, all over again.
100%. I was like, you're out of your comfort zone, just keep going. And that's when I decided to do the masters as well. And I think that kind of distracted me because it used my brain in a different way.
Yeah.
But I came out of the masters and I felt really sad. And I was like, I thought I'd be really inspired to go back into my business full time, and I just wasn't. Yeah. So to the point of like listening to kind of what you're being told. So I had been I'm leaving corporate. I'm never going back. I'm going to start my own business. I will not look back.
Yes. I love the profile. Nose in the sky.
I'm done. And it was kind of coming to terms with going, it's not going backwards, you're going forwards. Yeah. But actually I miss the energy of my job. I've worked in communications. It's a very full-on job. I'm involved in everything. I love that. And I just thought, maybe I need to try this. So I went and did sort of an interim role. I covered maternity leave. And I was just, oh my goodness, I was so happy in that role, because it was like my energy was at the right level again. But I went in at such a different point, because I think probably if I reflect back on my career, I doubted myself so much. And I look back now, I think, oh woman, what a waste of energy. But because I'd worked with lots of senior women and coached them, and met them as part of my research, I was able to be like, I'm good at what I do. Yes. My energy is really valuable. I get a lot done. I know that I'm great at what I do. Maybe I can just go and do this job and believe that.
Right, exactly.
So I'm so grateful for the experience. I'm so proud of myself for doing it, because it was scary. Yeah. And I did not want to be 15 years in the future looking back going, I wish I'd tried that.
If only I'd had the courage to break free of the prison of my mind.
Yeah, 100%. So I think for me it's been quite a journey, and I'm very clear now on what I want, which is wonderful.
I think it's so beautiful, and I'm so proud of you. I want to ask you two things.
Okay.
And I'm really hoping, note to self, that I can remember both of them. So
I had a great point I was going to make, but I've forgotten it now.
Oh my God, that's fine. We're just so in the moment. I'm just sitting here going, no. So first of all, I want to ask you, in that point, how much of a build-up would you say had been going through you? Because it's a feeling, right? It's a physical feeling of like, you were in the corporate, but you had this part of you, this sort of desire that was stirring below the surface, that was going, there's another way. Yeah. Get out of there. Blah 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 blah. Trying to speak here. How long, in terms of time, but also in terms of some of the things that took place in your life, like? Can you remember a few moments? Because obviously COVID happened, or those things happened. You're like, oh well, that's my opportunity. But we all know that these kind of insights and these sort of bodily experiences, they don't just happen overnight, right? So it's a build up. So
huge build up, 100%. And I can totally remember the moment actually. So I was working. I was working for a company. I'd been there for sort of 7 years. I'd got divorced during the time that I was there, so I probably stayed longer than I would have done. But when you're having one part of your life is kind of a bit, then actually knowing that you can do your job and it's fine and it's easy work. So I got to the point where I was like, right, I'm ready to leave, and I was approached by this amazing job, like my dream job. If you'd have asked me 20 years ago now,
but still.
My dream job. I was offered my dream job, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I can't believe it. This is the job I've been looking for my whole life. And I went in, and it was brilliant. It was also very tough. And I remember thinking, some of the things about the old company that were really annoying me, guess what? They're here. Oh. Like, politics and, all of those things that sometimes really challenging. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. So I started, that's the first time I worked with a coach, and I'd actually met her on a retreat that I'd been on. And she started to sort of suggest to me about working for yourself. And I was thinking, no, that's ridiculous. People like me don't work for themselves.
Right.
Like, it was so strong. I was just like, wow. No, ridiculous. Like, I was just like, that's not for me. That's absolutely 100% not for me. And we worked together, and I remember, okay, well, could it be for me? Like,
oh my God, I love that.
And actually I went, I was on holiday, I think we were in Canada, and I had a session with her, and this is the point that I remember where I was like, I think this is what I do want. I was like, and I still remember, I was like, oh, I do want this. And I was like, wow, but how do I make this happen? Like, and that was when I decided to do the coaching training alongside my full-time job, because I was like, well, that's a practical action.
Yes.
The me of that point understood as a thing that would progress.
Right.
So I did that, and then, so I would say it's probably about 3 to 4, maybe 3 years before I then took the leap and did it myself. And it's quite interesting actually, because I actually, just before the redundancy opportunity came up, I was like, right, I'm gonna set up my coaching business and start my Instagram, and I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna do it alongside my full-time job. I don't know how I was ever gonna do that. And then the redundancy opportunity came up. Yeah. Literally like 6 weeks after I made this decision, I was gonna build this coaching business. So yeah, that's.
So again, you had the wish, you were like, I'm building the coaching business.
Couldn't see how it's possible.
Released it into the pond, and then got on with things. Right? And then all of a sudden 6 weeks later, like you were getting on with things anyway, regardless of what opportunities were coming up. Like you said, you even mentioned, I was going to do it alongside my full-time supercharged, highly stressful job. But anyway, as we do, right? And then that opportunity came up. Like, that's also surrender.
Yeah.
You know, you were like, okay, this is my wish, this is my desire. I don't really know what opportunities are coming my way, but I'm not sitting at home waiting by the wishing well. I'm still just going to get on with life and have other energy going, because in life, like, everything has to stay in motion.
Yeah.
And and the thing is, and I think again, this is where manifestation, you know, this tip 3, the surrender, can get a bit difficult for the brain to accept. It's this thing of like, okay, so if the main point is how your actions make you feel about yourself. So if your actions makes you feel amazing, and if you're working on this project to manifest it even faster, makes you feel even more amazing about yourself, then go ahead and do it. Constantly. But if you are putting a condition on your actions, that every single time you reach out to another client and it's not a yes, then it's a reflection back to you, and you feel you believe a little bit less in your project, a little bit less in your wish. And then you reach out to another client and it's, again, they don't even get back to you now. Then you believe even less in your wish. And then all of a sudden, you've actually built up so much resistance towards that wish coming true, that even if an opportunity comes up, you won't even see it, because you've already made up your mind. So then, you know, surrendering the wish in the well and kind of forgetting about it and just getting on with life would be a much better action for you to take. Because if constantly working on it makes you feel shitty about yourself, because you feel like the reward isn't there soon enough. And because, again, the ego is caught up in a sense of identifying solely with outcomes. I can totally relate to that, right? So for me, similarly to what it sounds like you are, it's like, okay, so I have a wish, I have a dream, I have a desire. I release it into the wishing well, then I go ahead and yes, I take inspired action. But if I notice that my inspired action is no longer so inspired, now my action has started to be my ego going like, hey Josie, look, you know,
you've done all this, where's the outcome?
Exactly, right? Then I'll start a different project, and I might even approach it from I can take an action. So for instance, if my dream is I want to be a full-time energy healer in Bali, right? Okay, so I wrote it on a little piece of paper, I released it into the wishing well. An inspired action could be that I start to check out some online communities in Bali, right? Now, if all of a sudden doing that after a few days makes me feel like, oh my god, there's so many energy healers in Bali already, who the fuck am I, right? Then it's time to stop checking out online communities. But then another inspired action, oh, I remember one of my friend Eski, that's her name, she was just in Bali. I'm going to reach out to her and ask her if she met some nice people. Oh, we had an amazing conversation. That was an inspired action, but it made me feel great about me, right? She was like, oh my God, Josie, I'm so excited. You're going to go to Bali and be an amazing energy healer over there. Hooray. So that action let me, my ego, my state of mind, my consciousness at this moment in time went, oh, this feels so good. So then do more of that.
More of that.
But those actions that, yes, rationally would be the plan A, B, C, D, and then you get the product. You're now in Bali being the energy healer. If any of those actions, your ego or your mind or your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, your sense of identity feels somehow strangled or small by it, then you must instantly stop, because that is you building a story that is actually resisting. You're attaching a story to your dream, and that story is pulling your dream down. That means the universe can't give it to you, because now your energy is really low, and the universe only gives you what you are already.
Yeah, I describe that feeling that you're talking about as forcing.
That's it.
That's when I know that, because I do like taking inspired action. I think I've got quite good at that actually, at being like, oh yeah, this is fun, and but when I can feel like I'm forcing it or I'm holding on to it and things like that, then I am got so much better these days at going, you are forcing this, stop, release, go do something else, like and then normally something happens that I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Right, exactly, that's exactly it. And it is like, and like I had this idea the other day, it's just like, the more playful you are in life, like because it helps us, if we have this sort of sense of innocence and joyfulness and just not taking anything that seriously, then, and it doesn't mean that we're not responsible. I'm not talking about being irresponsible to yourself or others, but everything becomes more lighthearted. It's also easier for us to laugh, right? Like even as we are now, it's easier for us to smile, because there's not so much pressure on it to have a specific outcome. It's that thing of like, be playful in life. You have an idea, you have a dream, be playful with it. Like, send it love and take a few inspired actions, or if your actions make you feel really good, take even more. But be playful with it. Like, and then also because just like, philosophically speaking, like, most of us are on this planet for such a short time. And so I'm like, we don't even know why we're here really. And, and like things are always going to go away all the time. Everything that we know will disappear, including ourselves. And so the fact that we would not just appreciate every moment that we have and that we would not just be like super grateful, like it blows my mind. Like, and just, I just like everyone else can get super caught up in certain outcomes. I'm like, oh, it must be like this. And then I'm like, oh, actually, like, who the fuck am I to say any of that, I'm just going to enjoy my nice tea and water. Jen, I have a question for you. I could speak to you all day, but I want to actually want to offer you the opportunity to take one of these amazing cards. Lovely. So I have a deck here, and it's from that amazing author, intuitive healer I was talking about earlier. So it's Rebecca Campbell, and she has many oracle decks. This one in particular is the ancient stones. And the thing about stones, and that's why I think it's so appropriate for you today, is that obviously the stones have been here for millions of years. They've been here way before us. They'll be here way after we're gone. And it's so funny because, as a human being, we tend to put so little significance to the stones that surround us, the mountains, the rocks, etc. But they've seen it all, they've been through it all, they're still standing tall, right? So there's deep wisdom here. And there's also that thing of a stone is always changing, but we might not be able to see the changes. So it's just that thing of trusting the process. That's also the surrendering, right? Trusting that the processes are happening, doors are opening up, healing is happening. We are ever-changing beings in an ever-changing world. So anyway, nice. so have a little blend, have a little whatever you want, and then decide. Let's see what the stones have to share with you. I'm excited. I've never done this in a podcast before.
I'm like a guinea pig.
Or a very lucky.
Well, that is true. How many you want me to pick?
You decide.
Oh no. Oh gosh. Talking of stones, actually, and what you were saying about the mountains, we were just away and I swam in the sea, I was telling you earlier.
Yes.
And I was watching that helped me. I got some news that wasn't great at the time. I was a bit disappointed with it, and I remember just standing on the beach letting the waves wash in and wash out, and that really helped, because I was like, oh, okay, like that wave's gonna hit me because it's quite hard, but it'll go out, and then another one comes. So that was a nice thing.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, and that's also that thing of, in that moment in time, you chose to identify with the ocean, right? Instead of identifying with Jen, who was having this and this experience. It's like, actually no, like, let me just take on the personality of the ocean. What's it like to be the ocean? That's really beautiful. Oh, this is exciting. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go for this one.
Oh my god. Do you want to read out what it says?
Okay. I was thinking my second one. Okay, this says, the road is clear. You know what to do. Walk it your way. This is very apt to the conversation that Josie and I were having earlier.
The cats never lie. But energy doesn't lie.
That's so apt. I was going to pick another one, but now I don't know whether I should just go with that one.
You know. Mm-hmm. You know. You decide.
Yeah. I'll have this one. Yes. Oh, okay. This is... Let me show you first.
Oh my god, that's so beautiful. I love it. Wow.
So this is the Guardian Stone, Awakening, Progress and Initiation.
Oh my god, they're so beautiful.
Beautiful.
And can you see all the ancestors coming through here?
Oh, yeah.
Around the Guardian Stone? I absolutely love it. And I think I mean, both of them are so amazing. So first of all, the road is clear, that whole thing of, everything is opening up. Just walk it your way, walk to the beat of your own drum, the beat of your own heart. Trust in that rhythm that is there for you. And really standing in your truth and becoming your truth through living your truth and deciding on the cappuccino or the this or the that,
Yeah.
And then the Guardian Stone, just this thing of like, there's great support here for you, and also that everything you've been going through and that you're still going through, all the contrasting experiences have only ever occurred for you to get clearer about what you want.
Yeah.
I think they're just absolutely amazing. I love them, Jen.
I love it. Thanks for that opportunity.
Listen, thank you so much for wanting it. And I was setting up today, and I was like, I think Jen wants a card. Cards are here, so here you go.
Beautiful.
And then I want to pivot for a moment and go, you have a podcast yourself.
I do, yes. I haven't recorded it for a long time though. What would you like to know?
What is your podcast about?
So it's called Supercharge Your Life.
Supercharge Your Life.
Yes.
Love that.
So it's on Apple and Spotify and any other place that you can get a podcast. And it was something I created when I was working in my business.
Yeah.
And it was all about helping sort of empower women, confidence in the workplace, creating more balance between work and life, less balance, more sort of, I like to think of it as a bit of a flow, sort of integration. So sometimes work is more, sometimes, you is more, and actually how the two combine. So yeah, it's a combo of me telling my story and also lots of different interviews of people that I met on my journey. So.
Oh, I absolutely love that, because I didn't know that about you. And I'm literally, when you leave today, I have a healing client, but then after that, I'm just going to pop my earphones in and I'm just going to listen for the rest of the day to all of your gorgeous conversations. I absolutely love that. So nice. Do you still do any coaching at all?
Yeah, so I do a sort of few private clients.
Yes.
Just like generally through referrals from previous clients and stuff like that. But yeah, people who I feel drawn to, I do coach.
Fantastic.
So,
so basically, would you be happy for me to share your details in the show notes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So people can find you?
Definitely.
What's your coaching called? Is it just your full name, or is it?
Yes. So I have, my Instagram is I think it's Jenny_Carroll_coaching, just to be short.
Yeah, perfect.
Or my website, which is jennycarroll.com. So
amazing. And is it sort of life coaching, or is there any specific kind of coaching area that?
So I tend to do it's a career life piece. So I tend to work with sort of senior female leaders who are in corporate roles, and I tend to do a lot around helping them really establish themselves in their roles and feel really great and really confident at what they do, but also have more sort of that sort of work-life integration that we talked about. So you're not giving everything to your work. You're able to kind of create you, and that's all based on my experience in the past and things like that. So,
oh my God, that sounds so powerful and so wonderful. I absolutely love that. And I want to ask you also, so in case you didn't know, this podcast is all about just inspiring, especially women, but of course anyone on the planet, to live a soul-led life. However that sounds and feels and looks like for you. And for you, if future happy Jen could talk to current Jen, what would the message be?
Oh gosh. It's interesting because I feel like I've got so much in my life right now to be grateful for. Like, I feel that I've come through so many things that have made me feel very confident in who I am and very comfortable with that. I think it is just to kind of keep having joy in your life, keep exploring. Like, adventure is one of my big values, along with freedom. So keep doing all of those things and trust and know that actually you've got this. Because when I look at periods of time in my past where I've doubted myself or I've worried, things have always worked out in a way that, you know, it's a bit like you've said, like, you're always up leveling. So just kind of enjoy the journey and don't be so.
I love that so much. Just enjoy the journey. That's absolutely amazing. One final thing that I want to ask, and this is just me, because I can't help but wonder.
Yeah.
Remember when you were, you had manifested this amazing new chapter for yourself where you were on your pink MacBook. I love that it had some pink.
Of course.
Listen,
rose gold, but
true,
pink.
Right? But also, I know it can sound funny, but even that is such an important detail to not miss, because it was like you had that vision. You saw yourself somewhere beautiful on the planet with a pink MacBook, and it had to be like that. And that vision was actually, because you kept it in your mind's eye like a symbol, like this is my destination. And there's something incredibly powerful about that. And I think this is a really potent moment that I just want to really highlight, because I know we're laughing about it, and it does sound funny, but it's like having a vision and not sort of like downplaying it, because it's like it doesn't matter whether it's a pink MacBook or you could have been a leopard colored MacBook, or for me it was barley, right? Like, if you have the smallest thing that feels exciting to you, like, grasp onto it and like juice it out, like, because it's those little hunches and inches that's your soul speaking to you, right? Like, because it's something that you didn't sit down and analyze and like, well, what would make me keep on going? Like, no, like, it just came to you, right? And maybe that's also why it worked, because part of your brain was like, well, this is silly. And somehow, so you kind of your brain was like, I'm just gonna throw it in the wishing well, but seriously, pink MacBook, I'm a very, I work in the corporate industry, I've done my masters, I am coaching all this, and then my pink MacBook, right? But maybe there was that sense of playfulness to it, and that's
a
why
really good point.
You kind of just surrendered to it. You surrendered that wish,
I did, and actually, to your point around that, I remember thinking, I'd love to have this new MacBook and work anywhere in the world.
Right.
And then I did completely let go of it when I was building the business, and then it was only in hindsight that I was like, oh, I wanted to work from anywhere on my pink MacBook. Oh my gosh, I achieved that.
Right.
And I had,
just to
figure out what's the next version of the pink MacBook.
No, I know, right? And then there's one more question, because I can't help but ask this. So then you started your whole company by yourself, and did this whole sort of not whole sort of, but entirely self-employed experience of having your own business. Which obviously I've done my whole life, so I don't know any difference. But but that is incredibly brave and incredibly courageous, not just in terms of income, but in terms of this massive change, and a massive change of identity, especially coming from someone that hadn't even thought that she could have something else than two Americanos. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, our sense 100%. Of identity, right? So I just want to really highlight that anyone listening, any kind of change, whether it's, releasing a toxic relationship, letting go of an old job, moving house, changing your jumper, I don't know. Any sense of change is so hard for us because we fear it so much, right? Like, all of us. So just first of all, like, so amazing that you chose to do it, and you gave yourself that opportunity, and you created and paved the way of that opportunity, and you grabbed it when it was there, probably with that vision in your mind, which is great. But then what I wanted to ask, so then you'd created the business and you were sitting all around the world doing your coaching on your pink MacBook. I want to ask, because I know you've got a really social side to you, like, you know, and you've got so much energy and so much love, and I can feel, and this is something with the two of us, like, I also love freedom and I also love adventure, but I also I really need the social aspect. I need community. I'm a massive community person. Do you like, just pondering back, do you think it might also have been a sense of, I want colleagues, I want like,
100%. I think I'm definitely a people person, as you say, and I do quite like quiet time these days. Quite like some alone time and, like, you know, to chill and think. But I get my energy from other people, and when I'm sort of coming up with ideas and brainstorming, I get so far on my own, and then I want to talk it out. So during COVID, I did not like lockdown because, you know, and my partner Dan, he is a complete introvert. He was living his best life, I tell you. In the man cave until every so often I would appear at the door going, oh my goodness, this is awful. I can't go out, I can't speak to anyone, I can't do anything, my life is over. And he'd be like, okay. And he'd have to like, but you know, and there were points when I was working for myself and and he worked from home and I'd appear in his study and I'd be like, this happened with this and this, and he'd just be like, okay. And I'd be like, he's not your colleague, he's your partner.
Oh my god, yeah.
So yes, I think, you know, one of the reasons I love doing my masters, that was in person. I met people that I would never have met if I hadn't have done that course, like very different sort of stages of life and things like that, and that was brilliant. And I used to co-work with a couple of them. We used to do our assignments in coffee shops. So yes, I think part of it was, I'm not necessarily someone who likes to do things on their own in the working long term, if that makes sense. I'm better with a team, and I enjoyed that when I went back into corporate. I was like, I'm part of something that's bigger than myself. I think it was that, part of something that's bigger than me, that I'm taking my energy and contributing to, and that's the sweet spot for me, I think.
Oh my god, those are such wise words. I absolutely love that, and I think we're going to end on those words because they're just incredible. And just to say, it's been a pleasure having you here today. It always is. I feel so privileged to know you.
You too.
Oh, bless. But also, like, just that thing of, this is so much bigger than us. I think this is just the greatest statement ever. You know, whatever it is you're going through, just know that by you choosing to break through the prison of your own mind that has told you who you are and who you are not, like, just be brave, try different things. And, like, you know, like your journey, you were super brave, you tried it out, decided, actually, this freelance thing is not for me, I miss community, right? And then you were like, okay, I'm gonna go back, but I'm not going back, I'm going into a new space as a new me with the new information that I have about yourself.
100%.
You know, like, it's so again, like, coming full circle, and then choosing to stand where you are now, knowing yourself better than ever, and that thing of, like, even that is like, you know, we're part of something so much bigger. But to share your story here today and just leading the way, paving the way for others to go, listen, I know you're scared, I'm also scared, we can be scared together. But, you know, I just always think we don't regret the things that we did, we regret what we didn't do. You know, especially with what held us back was fear, like it does, you know, for everyone, right? So just thank you so much for coming, Jen.
No worries, thank you for inviting me. It's been very good. I enjoyed our chat.
Always. Well, until we meet again, I'll put all your amazing information in the show notes, and I hope you have lots of wonderful women reaching out to you, because the world definitely needs more Jen. So thank you so much, Daddy.
Thank you.
Thank you.